Hey there, this is Hilary here for Waterlogged on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. We are at the Clam Mania booth. We came in early before the show started, and John is going to give us an education on clams. We're going to talk about all the things you need to know for care and maybe what's best for you, as well as some tips and tricks and things that I've learned. Okay, as promised, this is John. If you've seen one of the show videos before, you are probably familiar with him, but I thought it would be good to talk a little bit about the different kinds of clams, because there's a lot of them out there, but only a few that we keep in our aquariums.
People tend to like the blue clams, small clams, as they call it, which is Maximus and Chryseas, is two of the most popular clams out there, which is a myth on both of them being non-beginners. It could be beginners too if you know what you're doing. The other clams you do see are Dorasas, which is a fairly easy clam to keep too. Another one is a Squamosa, and these are in the bigger side, and also a Gygus. These are the clams you would see, and the last ones are on the bigger side, which is the Dorasa, Squamosa, definitely the Gygus. That's like the giant of all giant clams, and the Hippopus, a foot to 2 foot, and you'll see them around that size as they're almost fully grown.
A lot of people, I hear them say that clams are really hard, that you shouldn't have a clam, it's not a beginner thing. Are they beginner? Are they more advanced?
For me, they're the beginners, which is funny, I know, and it's hard for people. I set up systems in one day, literally like 2,000 clams, 2,500 clams. In some of our videos, you'll see a brand new system I set. I add water the day before, pre-mixed water, and I do put some live rocks in the sump. And then the very next day, less than 12 hours, I add 2,400 clams.
Whoa.
Just because I know that the clams itself, or the shell, is alive, like a bacteria as far as live rocks. So if the clams are so big, it's 3.5 years old. It's like 3.5-year-old live rock that's been in the water forever. So they basically are my live rocks, additional live rocks.
I never thought about it that way. That's really interesting.
Yeah, right?
That.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, in my mind, I know it's easy because I know how it works, but you can definitely run into problems. I wouldn't recommend it for a beginner to do that unless they know what they're doing, have had the experience as me. But as far as the method of just making sure there's light, enough par, which is their food source, good water chemistry, don't add too much fish right away, just keep it as stable as possible, and make sure you do have a doser of some sort that's dosing alkalinity, keep that stable, and watch your trace elements. So as long as you can maintain that, it's possible. People tend to do Dorasas as being easy, and I agree with that. The reason why Dorasas are easy is because they can take parameter swings, lighting, they can do like 70 par, they can do 500 par.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's like a huge
It's a big difference.
variance, and the difference you'll see in color change in them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you do super high par, you'll get more of a brighter, more yellowish color. Depends what they look like. It'll be a little different versus if it was like 70 par.
Okay.
We do our clams sometimes under the California sun. So you can see during the wintertime, the colors of the Dorasas being a little more orange, a little more subtle, and the summertime is really vibrant yellow and the greens really pop and things like that. So that's an easy one. I love the Chryseas, as I think it's an easy one. The difference with the Chryseas and the Dorasa is they can take the swing like the Dorasa, but the parameters, as far as lighting has to be around 200 par, 200 par to 350 par.
Okay.
That's a difference. So as long as you can maintain that, it's, to me, a beginner's clam too.
Yeah.
I would say one of the more sensitive one is the Maximus. So the Maximus, you're really going to make sure the par is right. The par there, you want to have it between that 150 to that 250 mark, so they can take both, but they don't want too high nor too low. So it's a weird thing with the Maximas and all the clams. They do have different kind of par requirements. The one that can take most swing is that Dorasa. That's why people tend to do the Dorasa, and I think it's easier because sometimes they can put it on the bottom of the tank, they can put it anywhere and it's still kind of okay.
It's still good.
As long as the parameters are pretty good. Gygus are pretty easy, and Hippopus are pretty easy. Yeah. So the most sensitive one would be, Maximus.
Okay.
And I really highly always ask people, try to get the cultured ones and get a good source. That's the number one thing. If the clam's not healthy to begin with, it wouldn't matter at
Yep.
that point. Yeah.
This is an embarrassing story, but I'm going to share it. Maybe somebody will learn from my lesson.
Yeah.
I got a clam. I was so excited. I got it home. It was a small one.
Yes.
And my urchin picked it up and carried it around the tank. Every time I went in, I'm readjusting, trying to figure out where he's at, and the urchin's just... and I lost it because I couldn't get it to stay still. It was too small. I don't want... you shouldn't be gluing them, right?
No, don't glue them.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
If somebody gets a clam, and they have urchins in their tank, because, you know, we have mixed reefs, you never know.
Yeah.
How would you recommend getting them in a safe, secure spot?
I love sea urchins. We might get them small, but we try not to keep them because that's the issue with them, is that they'll take it for a ride like a backpack and take it through the whole, like, you know, trails of the trails of the aquarium, and it ends up you know, not getting light, and then it ends up falling behind the crevices, or, you know, it's missing, and then you don't find it until it's only a shell, as you say, right?
Yep.
So it doesn't matter if it's small or not, but the urchin will pick it up. It depends on the size of the urchin.
Yeah.
The only tip is you got to keep an eye on it. If you have an urchin, you know that's going to be a variable. Like I think I've done that in the past, where we put it in and you see my clams running around like, you know, funny, like, oh my God, this is a horrible idea, John. So I had to take it out. So it's one of these things, like, as a hobbyist, we are true hobbyists. We love urchins. We want to take every single thing out of the ocean, put it in our tank, and say, wow, look at this amazing tank.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a learning lesson, and that's one of the hard lessons that you had to learn, I've learned, and someone else will learn too. You can keep it in peace, but there's no way to keep the urchin from not grabbing him, right? It's just his nature. As far as gluing down, do not glue it down. They attach fairly well, pretty fast. What I would have done is made sure he's attached to something really fast, something really heavy, that the urchin can't pick up also. But if it's a big urchin, it's going to pick at that rock that he's on too, so that's the issue too, right?
Yeah.
So the advice with that would be, like, avoid the urchin, pick one or two, or at least keep an eye on it.
Yep.
If you're, you know, at least home for the next few days, you can see what's going on. Like, a lot of my clients say, hey, John, don't ship it until I'm back from my vacation. And that's a great advice. Like, just don't add anything unless you know you can watch it for a couple days, and, you know, make sure everything is fine. No fish is picking on it, whether it's a clam or other fish picking on other fish, whatever it is like that.
Okay, so we talked about not gluing them, but these guys have some pretty impressive ways to attach themselves. I think bissel fibers?
Yeah.
Like, they're very strong, right?
Very strong. It's the bigger the opening in the bottom of the clam, like the crocea, it has the biggest opening. It's a good thing, but a scary thing at the same time, because they leave themselves vulnerable to any predators in the bottom that might attack their soft spot. Because the top mantle they can close and protect that, but the bottom is an issue. But that's why you want them to attach. They will attach to things. So like the maxima is a little smaller opening, and the Durasas basically have tiny or no opening. Hippopus absolutely no opening at all. That means that they can rely on their weight. It's just many years, thousands, 100,000 years of engineering from the clams. The girth of the Gygus, Hippopus, Durasa, and Squamosa basically will keep in place, and the other maximum croceas are the ones that attach. Going back to the bisis, it's basically just they developed this gelatin, looks like jello. For example of what a bisis looks like, you see this is the formation, this gelatin part here. The jello is actually the formation of the bisis. That's not the foot. If that falls off, no big deal. As long as you have good water chemistry and some flow and lighting, they attach because they realize that they might be blown away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Survival instincts.
Yeah, so they attach pretty fast. So as long as chemistry is good and lighting is good, you'll see them attaching within 24 hours. Maybe a little after that. But sometimes they don't attach at all, but that's a rare case. But nothing wrong if they don't attach.
One of the things that I've learned from you over the years is that you can actually take clams out of the water, which is not something I ever thought was true. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, in nature, it's out of the water a lot of the times, and they're used to it. As long as the clam's inside moist, it closes up this moisture in there. It can be on the floor for 24 hours a day. And we have, you know, so many clams that one has fallen here and there. And then I'm like, oh, there's one right there. And you know, you were there the night before, the day before in the afternoon. The next afternoon you come there, you're like, oh, it's there. So it's, you know, 24 hours. You basically, if you see down here, you can pick one of these beautiful guys up, like so. He's got, see? So you can leave him here for 24 hours. I can do maybe we can do a time lapse or something one of these days. But yeah, he's fine. I'm not worried about him, and you can leave him here. I did an interview before in the past, and I just took the clam out, and during the interview, we just kind of talked the whole time like this.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, so it's possible, and it doesn't hurt him, nothing like that. He's fine. And then when you want him, there's no such thing as, you don't need a burp, nothing like that. It just it goes and burps itself in a way.
Put it back in the water.
As it squeezes, any air will come out, and it'll be fine. And give it about a minute, and it'll open up after this, and everything will be fine. You maybe
He's already starting to open up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool? And you can maybe film it later on and see when he does open up, and
yeah,
we'll see how that works. But yeah, pretty easy. No problem at all.
Well, thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it. This has been fascinating.
Nice seeing you, Hilary. I look forward to see you next time, and hope you audience enjoys this.
Thanks.
You guys take care, and it was a pleasure.
All right, this has been Hilary for Waterlogged and John for Clam Mania on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.